Hello everyone. More big news of changes to my life this year. The short answer is the blonde fluffy dog that sometimes appears in my videos. His name is Aska, and Dad and I have recently come to the decision that we are going to try and train him to become my assistance dog. Now, some of you who are regulars on my TikTok lives may be asking, but Meerkat, we've asked you if he would ever become your assistance dog in the past, and you've always given the impression that it would never happen. I know. And if you want context and the story as to how we have come to this decision, stick around because I'm just about to explain. To answer your question, I was being stubborn. It's as simple as that. I was just making up excuses and putting the idea off because of my anxiety. That is the truth. Because I follow a few different service dog handlers on social media, and that has brought me the awareness of the hassle that they can go through just because they've got a dog with them. For example, service dog handlers often get denied access entry into a building even though by law that they are allowed, just because business people, staff people do not know the rules in regards, the laws in regards to assistance dogs, and are just being difficult and stubborn. And also the general public as well, just distracting the service dogs, causing grief to the service dog handler, again just because they've got a dog with them. I've had a lot of social anxiety about the idea, and also just feeling not confident enough or having to poor self-esteem to take on the idea as well. That's why I have been putting it off. What has changed? Well, I don't exactly know how long this has been going on for, but let's say a time span of a year, because it feels like it's been going on for quite some time. Every few months, my dad would gently bring up in conversation that he thinks it's a really good idea to have Aska trained to become my assistance dog, and for X, Y, and Z. And again, I would listen to him, but I would then put it off because my anxiety would just rule over my decision making in my brain, and I would try and convince Dad to let go of the idea by listing all the cons I could muster about having a service dog. And surprisingly, this has not put Dad off at all, and he would listen to me, he would respect my choice, but he would just gently nudge it into conversation every now and again. And I've been wondering why. I still don't understand why, other than Dad just really seeing it as a beneficial thing. He really thinks it would be a helpful thing to have Aska as my assistance dog. But that's not the only thing that has gotten me to shift my mindset about it recently. There's also, I've just been watching Aska, and he just seems so eager to help me. Obviously more so when my F&D is triggered, but also when I am well. For example, if I drop something onto the floor from my wheelchair, Aska will pick it up from the floor and give it to me. And by the time I post this video, it will be about 2 Mondays ago, I collapsed into a seizure on the kitchen floor, and with no command, completely on his own accord, Aska went upstairs to Dad's study. Dad had the study door closed, so Aska got on his hind legs and put his paws on the door so that he could peep his face through the little glass pane in the door. And he stared at Dad, giving him the facial expression that says, "Something's not right, you need to follow me." Dad followed Aska, and Aska led him all the way downstairs and all the way to me. And Dad was obviously then able to help me in the seizure. And I think that was the most outstanding thing that has happened, because we don't know how to train Aska to become an alert dog, but the fact that it's possible that reaction, that behaviour was possibly a one-off. I really hope it's not a one-off, because that would be extremely helpful if he could be relied upon to go get help every time I go into one. But the fact that he just did that completely on his own, absolutely amazing. And there have been other bits and things as well. There are some things that Aska has taught himself, and there are some things that I have trained him myself. The things I have trained him to do is fetch the post from the front door and take it to a person by name. And I've also taught him to fetch me objects that I point to and to bring it to me. And assistive tasks that he has trained himself is, he doesn't need to do this anymore, but before the extension was built, when my bedroom was still upstairs, Aska taught himself to come up beside me when I would kneel on the stairs. He would let me hold on to him, so I'd hold him on a hand and I'd hold on to the banister the other hand, and then he would brace his body to give me that oomph I needed to help me get each knee up each step. But even though that is no longer an immediate requirement, since my bedroom's downstairs now, he is still using brace as to help me. I hadn't taught him the word brace as a command beforehand, but now I'm going to start doing that. But again, it was another day. I think it was last week. I was post-seizure, but I had regained the ability to walk by then. I think it was a Saturday. And Aska indicated with his nose that there was a ball underneath a chair that he wanted me to retrieve for him. And I was struggling to get from standing to kneeling on the floor. And Aska had come up next to me, and I put my hands on him, and he braced his body, and that gave me the support I needed to be able to get down to kneeling. I don't know what that is. Oh, hoovering, that's the noise, it's hoovering. And that was very helpful. And once I gave Aska the ball, did the same again, put his hand on him, he braced his body, and that gave me the oomph I needed to get back up to standing. And also, Aska's behaviour is very interesting when going out for walks, based on whether or not my dad is with me. So Aska feels protective over me, especially when I'm post-seizure, but even when I am well, Aska tends to have this sense of responsibility with himself when out and about with me, even if it's just his regular daily dog walk around the village. Now, when I go on walks with him with just me and my support worker, he really takes it seriously. He is on his best behaviour, and his focus is just zoned in on me. He will only pay attention to my support worker if they call him by name or give him a command. And again, we've not taught Aska to have this attitude or to behave this way. That is just that he's just chosen to do that. He he doesn't take it as seriously when Dad is around, because Dad is in Aska's eyes, is the alpha male of the family. But he does still take it seriously, just not as much when Dad is around. But again, that changes if I'm post-seizure. If I'm post-seizure, Aska pays more attention to me, he stays closer by to me, and again, his obedience is just top-notch. Combined with Aska's behaviour and the things that he has taught himself, as well as his eagerness, combined with Dad's eagerness, and Dad just continuing to think that it's the right thing to do and it's the best thing to do, despite me trying to convince him otherwise. I've prayed about it. I've done a lot of online research into what makes a real service dog, what tasks Aska could learn that could help me with my disability. It really surprises me actually that there isn't even a criteria and that there is no paperwork or card or application, and it amazes me that the service dog doesn't even have to wear a vest by law, and also the fact that we can train him ourselves is enough to qualify him as well. It is a real blessing in disguise, because I don't think we could afford to have him trained by a charity or proper trainer at the moment. And I've done a lot of research as to what sort of behaviour and temperament is expected of a dog to be a real service dog. And I've also prayed about it, and recently when talking it over with my support worker and my dad and my mum, everyone, I say support workers because I've talked to both of them about it, and everyone is just so on board with the idea. And I've been talking over my worries, my anxieties, and my self-doubt, and talking it over with all of them, I have a much more open-minded perspective about it. I still feel very anxious, I still have the worries, but that's just something that I'm going to have to work through and overcome. Something that one of my support workers said to me is that this is going to be a journey, not just for Aska but for me as well, and that it will be a beautiful journey of learning, growing, developing, bonding, and it will be wonderful to look back on a year's time and see how much we have grown and has changed. And funnily enough, when I was reading my daily Bible notes this morning, it literally said the exact same thing, even down to the detail of looking back in a year's time to see how much you've grown. It was almost like a mirror of what my support worker had said to me when I was talking to him about it yesterday, to what I read in my Bible this morning. You can take that as you wish, but I am just sharing my experience and being honest and open with you all about my perspective on things. Personally, I'm going to take that as an answer to prayer, that God is also happy with this idea. In fact, I'm starting to get the impression that this was God's plan all along, just because of how things are playing out. Because even the timing for this seems ideal to start working on this now, whilst we're still in this waiting period for the vehicle, because it's good to introduce Aska to all of this, and to start training him, and to start taking him to more places, and to get him the experience he needs, but also for me as well, because it's a big change for me too, and there's a lot that I'm having to learn. It's good that we are starting this now whilst things are quiet and easy, that hopefully Aska and I will be more in a routine and more used to training and bringing him with me to places as an assistance dog in training. When I do get my vehicle, and when I do get to build a full weekly quality of life, I am going to buy Aska a assistance dog in training vest in May. But for now, and every time he ignores strangers, I'm going to reward him and encourage that, as well as just calm behaviour out in public, and also trying to nip barking habit in the bud, because Aska is half Samoyed, and therefore he does have some guard dog instincts, which means he likes to bark. I'm gonna try and improve that, and honestly, this is just an experiment. I have just accepted to just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen from trying to train him and see where it leads? If we are successful, then that is a brilliant and wonderful thing and a real benefit. And if it doesn't work, then Aska can just go back to being the family pet dog, and we know that we've given it a go. I feel nervous, but also I'm listening to the encouragement that everyone around me is giving me about it, and just reassuring myself no harm can be done just by trying and seeing where it leads. Dad and I are going to keep Aska on a assistance dog and training vest for a year, because we think that's a good time span of training for him. But of course, we will make it longer should Aska need that when the time comes. Aska is probably going to feature in my videos a lot more often, and I just wanted to let you all know about this change before you start seeing him in all of the videos, and especially before you start seeing him when I get his assistance dog in training vest, because I didn't want any of you to be confused. Me, as when it comes to big things in my life, I always like to keep you guys in the loop. After all, I am trying to document my life with F&D, and this is a big part of that. I wish us all the best. Take care.